YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with the post-free agency 3-round NFL mock draft. Could call it a middle of free agency. We still got big-time players available via free agency. Clowney, Jameis Winston, possibly Cam Newton if he's traded or released and signed. So things actually could change. But after the first huge wave of free agency, including trades, a lot has changed since our last mock draft. And we got the Niners with the 13th pick now. We got the Vikings with the 22nd pick now. A lot has changed, and we're going to break it down. We got some real good fits here throughout the full 3 rounds we're doing. And if you go to our other channel, the Goat House Plus, there's a link down below in the comments and in the description. You can subscribe to that. That would help us out a bunch. 2 Goat House channels, full NFL content. Can't wait to cover the NFL draft. Spent so much time covering free agency already, so all kinds of content already up. And then follow that Twitter. It's a must follow. Breaking news, instant reactions, always talking draft, posting a little bit of draft film evaluations on there, more film watchings coming up before the draft hits. Always keeping you guys connected with the channel on there as well. So that's a must follow. Links for everything you need below in the description and the comments, as well as our new podcast, about 5 episodes out, Apple and Spotify. Really enjoying doing that. Let's get on to the mock draft. First 8 picks. Bengals taking Joe Burrow. I'm sticking with it. We don't really need to explain it a whole bunch. It should be the pick. It will be the pick. Redskins taking Chase Young. Even though, there's been some rumors they could take Tua. There's a whole Trent Williams situation. Are they going to need a left tackle? I'm sticking with Chase Young. And now, actually, just earlier today, they traded for Kyle Allen. Not in the level of Tua maybe, but now they have 2 quarterbacks they're going to battle it out in there. Rivera went and got Kyle Allen, so that was great. But Haskins projected to be the starter. They go Chase Young here. They're going to win with defense. That defense is kind of missing one more big-time piece there, and Chase Young is an instant impact player. The Redskins defense is going to help them win games here. So that's the pick, sticking with that. The Lions with the 3rd pick. This pick becomes very interesting because it could be a trade. I do not like doing trades in mocks because then it becomes messy. It becomes messy, but I will do some closer to the draft, and we'll have a big video like we always do every year with a bunch of different trade scenarios and what the trades can mean. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I think this pick probably is traded. It's going to be a battle between the Dolphins and the Chargers to get up there and get Tua Tagovailoa. And it's probably traded, and I'm going to say it's probably the Dolphins. Why? Because you look at the Lions front office with Quinn, their GM, and then Matt Patricia, their coach. They're on thin ice. They might be the last year, unless the team plays very well, the team succeeds. So that means they want ammo to help them now. They want more assets now. Chargers are going to be able to match the Dolphins' offer for the future. The Dolphins will be able to give up more right now. So the Dolphins will most likely move up. But again, making the trades makes things messy. Bottom line is, I think the Lions, the teams I just mentioned, the Lions, Dolphins, and Chargers will end up with these players. And that's why I kept it the same. I think the Lions end up with Jeff Okudah. They need to trade back for me to like that. Okudah's a great corner. But I'm not a big fan of taking a corner at 3. It just takes so long to make them very impactful. Okudah can be impactful early on. And then just the fact they trade Darius Slay, and then I talked about this a bunch of times, and then you're going to go and take another corner. You look at the Bengals, they got so much better with Joe Burrow. Look at the Redskins, they got so much better with Chase Young, so much extra quarterback pressure. That defense is going to win a lot of games. And you got the Lions, they're kind of back where they started. So, that's kind of the downside to it. I hope they trade back and get more picks to help them win now. They have signed a lot of players in free agency, but Darius Slay being traded opened things up for Okudah there. 4, the Giants take Mekhi Becton, offensive lineman, Louisville, the offensive line with the most upside, and they're going to instantly be able to run the ball much, much better with him. Pass protection, he could use a little work, but just like the other tackles as well. They're looking for the left tackle of the future. They got Fleming from the Cowboys, which isn't this big-time right tackle, but I think, there could be a solid right tackle for them, and he could start. I kind of thought about Wirfs here. Could they or Wills as well? Could they plug and play those guys at right tackle? I think, they're hanging on to Solder right now, as they should, because it's so hard to find replacements at left tackle. But really, Solder's getting up there in age, beefy contract. I think Becton's the guy. They want to be able to run the ball more. Yeah, you want to protect Daniel Jones, and you want to throw well, but their number one priority is to make that running game where it should be, the best in football, really. Top 3 at least. So Becton, will help them big time. Like I said, the Dolphins, whether it's 3 or 5, they end up with Tua Tagovailoa. It really helps that they have the ammo this year. That's a little more appealing to a team like the Lions, like I mentioned. And they've added so much throughout free agency already. I mean, they got the cornerback duo. They're adding Byron Jones to Howard already. And they still have ammo left in this draft class. So getting the quarterback there, we just know that's the plan. Unless something surprising happens, going forward here in free agency with some guys still left. But this just makes them that much better as long as Tua's healthy. And the Chargers take Justin Herbert. I think they'll try to trade up for Tua. They missed out on Tom Brady in free agency, but that was the only quarterback they're interested in. And I think they were still going to take a quarterback to learn, behind him. So they take Justin Herbert. I wouldn't be in love with this pick. Herbert's got the arm talent, I should say. He's just got a little bit, that could be a reason why they wanted Tom Brady. He's got a little bit of ways to go to kind of learn offenses, to run the offenses, and to read defenses. So, this is a little early for me. So if they miss out on Tua, they could trade back. But if Herbert is for sure their guy over Love, then, it wouldn't be that smart, I guess. But 6 would be early for me on him. Then the Panthers take Isaiah Simmons. They lost Luke Kuechly in retirement, of course, and they've added some pieces here and there in free agency. They added a quarterback, so that can scratch that off the board. They got Teddy Bridgewater, and they actually got P.J. Walker. We'll call him the XFL MVP, even though there was no MVP award, but I think we're all in agreement. So they grabbed their linebacker that can also move around a bit. They can blitz him. They can play him in the slot. He's still a linebacker to me. You see a lot of times linebackers kind of go split out if a running back or tight end goes in motion out there. And that's Isaiah Simmons. It's what he does. He's a linebacker. He's going to go out and cover as well. So that is the pick. I think it's a good value pick. He's my number 3 player on the board right there. But at the same time, it's kind of expected he could be here. So it's something that's blowing me away, but that would be big time. Cardinals go Tristan Wirfs. I think the plug-and-play guy at right tackle. They definitely need somebody out there. I thought maybe they can go for Balaga. Problem with him, more of a veteran, kind of aging. The Chargers end up getting him. So the Cardinals go with Tristan Wirfs here from Iowa. And then we move on to the next 8 picks. Got Derek Brown to the Jags. They filled the linebacker hole with Joe Schobert. I actually like that very much. It kind of gives them flexibility to move to a 3-4, or they can move Jack back out to where he belongs and outside. So either way, and then Josh Allen, of course, can play the 4-3 or 3-4, as an edge rusher. But either way, they're going to need guys in the interior. That's just facts at this point. Derek Brown's sitting here. They can grab him. It's a kind of a sneaky team that could be looking for a quarterback, but I like Derek Brown in there, kind of a Marcel Darius replacement, and he'll be better day one, really, than Darius is at the moment. And then the Browns take Andrew Thomas. I think a little safer than Wills. People feel confident Wills can play left tackle, but it's clear the Browns need a left tackle. Andrew Thomas has not only experience there, but really good play there, really good tape, and he's played against the best in the SEC. So the Browns grab the plug-and-play left tackle. The Jets, this is where things get tricky a little bit. Do they go line? Do they go receiver? They've signed quite a few offensive linemen, actually, in free agency, but I still have them going offensive line. A guy that we talked about just a second ago, Wills, just played right tackle, but people feel confident he can play left, so that gives you the option to play him at either. But the Jets still need to do a better job fulfilling that line. Specifically the right tackle, where I think Wills would start day one. They have that open hole at receiver still at the time of recording this. Haven't re-signed Robbie Anderson or anything, so they do need a receiver, but it's just so tough coming across, and Jets fans should know, the Jets know, it's so tough coming across the really good tackles. They never appear, they never come into play in free agency or, at the trade deadline or whenever someone needs to be traded. It's never the good offensive linemen become available. It's very, very rare. It's very rare at 11 that you can get a top-tier guy, a guy that could be worthy of well inside the top 10 pick. So the Jets get their offensive linemen that, it's very important to everybody but them that they're making it known right now. They want to protect Darnold. Darnold's not going to grow if he's constantly under pressure. So I think they go Wills here. I think they'll believe they can't get a Wills in the second round. They can get a pretty darn good receiver in the second still. Even though I do think, there's some people that are out there saying, I don't want my team to take a receiver in first. I don't want them to take him in first because there's just the depth is ridiculous. And that's true. The depth's ridiculous, but you're also forgetting it's not only the deepest class, it's also the best, the most elite class at the top. Even though there's some really good day one starters in the second round receiver wise, there's some really good guys at the top here. And we're talking about right now, we actually got 3 of them going in a row. The Raiders, tough to say who's number 1 receiver on their board. I've heard that some teams have Jeudy, some teams have Lamb, some teams have Ruggs. And I went with Jeudy here. I think that's the best fit for them. I think they'll see him as the best fit. They have Tyrell Williams on the outside. Obviously, he's going to stretch the sideline. He's a deep ball, jump ball receiver. So they want more of that guy that kind of can move anywhere, and the guy that's going to get open anywhere on the field. More of the shifty type. So it could be Ruggs too. It sounded like I just explained Ruggs, but Jeudy he might be the safest pick out of all these guys because, when receivers fail at the next level, it's always because route running, actually. But is it because they can't, read defenses because the route changes based on what coverage the defense is? Or is it because they just can't get separation? Jeudy can do both. He's elite in terms of the separation and his footwork. So a safe pick. I think he fits what the Raiders are looking for, kind of. And Ruggs can too, and Ceedee Lamb can too, don't get me wrong. It's just Jeudy and Ruggs are going to be a little quicker on their feet, gain a little more separation. So I think that's what the Raiders are looking for. And the Niners traded away DeForest Buckner to the Colts to get this 13th pick, originally belonging to the Colts, like I said, and they grabbed maybe the best receiver in the class in Ceedee Lamb. I mean, you have a bunch of these shifty guys underneath receivers. Deebo Samuel, you get the jet sweeps too. I mean, Ceedee Lamb you can too, but it's another guy that can really, really stretch the field, work the sidelines. Very good contested catcher and very good after the catch. Everything kind of checks the box as an NFL receiver, and it's what the Niners are looking for. They have a number of receivers, and we're going to see some young guys come back this year. Pettis, Hurd, but you just get better here, and your offense your Jimmy G can take the next step with a guy like Ceedee. I just don't see them passing on him, really. It could be Javon Kinlaw. It's another option there. And the Buccaneers, I haven't taken Henry Ruggs. Now, this may look bold, but really thinking about it, I don't think it's that bold in this situation. You see the linemen are off the board, the top 4 linemen. This could be Josh Jones, the Houston tackle. Based on other people's mocks boards, maybe. I don't look at a whole bunch of them, but maybe it would be a reach for Josh Jones. But Josh Jones is very good. I think he's a plug-and-play starting tackle, left or right. So it could be, but Henry Ruggs, adding him with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you just got Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, who just struggled last year because of lack of targets. Adding Henry Ruggs in there, and that makes not just a really good trio. That's obvious, but I think 3 receivers that really complement each other very, very well. Godwin's kind of that all-around receiver, kind of does it all. Put a little strength and size on, actually, over the last couple of years. Mike Evans is that sideline threat, that big body threat, that jump ball threat, that red zone threat. And Henry Ruggs is that shifty, that guy that you can throw in the slot. He can be deep ball, he can be a screen pass, anything underneath. So I think you get all 3 types of receivers there. Your window for your offense automatically becomes, I guess, kind of closing. I mean, they easily can get another quarterback in there for the future very easily, but as it sits right now, basically what I'm trying to say is they're trying to win now with this offense. The defense will be good. It's getting better because it's young. It's the 3-4 linebacker unit. It's great. But yeah, they're trying to win now. Let's get Tom Brady the best possible weapons, and then let's go win this thing. So I mean, you got 2 years to do it. So I think Ruggs helps them instantly here with the offense, with the passing game, which they want to be highly effective on. And the Broncos take Javon Kinlaw. They did trade for Jarrell Casey, but as of now, they still have free agents out there like Shelby Harris, Derek Wolfe, which I think they'll get at least one back. And then they did miss out on DJ Reader. So, and then just the value of the pick here. Javon Kinlaw, to me, is a top 10 player in his class. Stops running at a high level, and I think he has tremendous upside getting that interior pressure, which if you've been watching me for a while, you know how obsessed I am with interior pressure. I think it's rare, it's key, game-changing. I think if you get it, your team is very good and in a good spot. And it helps your edge rushers, helps your entire defense. So Javon Kinlaw brings that to the Broncos here in Vic Fangio's defense. The Falcons filled some needs. They've actually done a little more than expected, considering their cap space situation in free agency. And they add C.J. Henderson here. What they didn't do was add a a starting corner, a corner at all, really. Add C.J. Henderson out there. I think the clear number 2 corner in the class. Physical and a freak athlete at the same time. Kind of a rare combination. Sometimes one guy's missing the other. So the Falcons go C.J. Henderson there at 16. We're moving on. The Cowboys cannot pass on Clavon Chaisson at this point. Lost Robert Quinn in free agency. Chaisson has tremendous upside, can play in any scheme. Just can't pass on him. You could use a corner, you could use a safety in this situation as well. And I think they're actually looking for another receiver too. But I just don't think you can pass on Chaisson. They know how important the pass rush is. Robert Quinn helped him. He actually played, in terms of the pressure in the quarterback, sacks and pressures he got last year. He actually played better than DeMarcus Lawrence. Not that he is better, but so they know that it'll be important to add a guy like this. And then the Dolphins take Josh Jones. It's very important for them to add another tackle, so they grab Jones at 18. The Raiders looking for another corner. I feel like they have a long list of corners, but they're all either young or kind of just average. And they're looking for that another, true outside starting corner. And then why not pair the Clemson guys? Trayvon Mullen from last year, A.J. Terrell from this year. Another pretty solid combination of physicality and athleticism here. So I think the Raiders would like to pair the Clemson guys. Another corner comes off the board. We know the Jags definitely need outside corners. They filled the slot corner need with Darqueze Dennard there, that coming from the Cincinnati Bengals. So Fulton, they add him, start him there. We got 2 receivers coming off the board in a row. Denzel Mims, who I like a lot. Really a do-it-all receiver, great hands, catches the ball in stride, creates that last-second separation with his length. The Eagles definitely need, we've seen them fill the corner need. They grab some other guys here and there. Added Hargrave to the D-line, which makes it a very unique defensive line, in my opinion. So adding Denzel Mims is a must, or a receiver like that. They could very well go Justin Jefferson. The Vikings traded Stephon Diggs, so now they have the 22nd pick, and now they have a need at receiver. And I talked about on Twitter, I could actually see them getting through the first round without taking one, because they've always been a fan of that. Yeah, we see some depth in this receiver class in this scenario, so we'll wait. And they use more tight ends than anybody. They run the ball more than anybody. They just don't really value it sometimes, so they could wait. But Justin Jefferson, to me, is their type of receiver. It's a Vikings receiver. I think pretty similar to Adam Thielen, really. A guy that can play in the slot, play outside, and just really checks all the boxes for what they like. He can run after the catch, after he catches the ball, very effective that way. Can stretch the field. You can get him anything underneath. So I think the Vikings will actually like him a lot if he's there, and I think they'll take him in this scenario. And the Patriots take Jordan Love. Jordan Love got pushed back a little bit. I think the Panthers signing Teddy Bridgewater kind of shifted things here and kind of caused him to drop back. And I would love this pick. Love has a tremendous upside, obviously. People look at his numbers, and yeah, they weren't good. You wish they were a little better, but he did not have the offense line or the receiver. Some of the you can blame a lot on the receivers if you go back and watch it. Actually, it was pretty brutal. So he didn't really have the help, is what I'm getting to. So it could be the future quarterback of the Patriots there. Interesting one here. Got Kenneth Murray going to the Saints, and why? Well, they could be looking at a receiver still. They did sign Emmanuel Sanders. So most likely, I don't know if they really like drafting a receiver in the first round anyway. So kind of signing Sanders kind of helped that. Like maybe they don't have to take one now. But I want linebacker. They actually had strong interest in Jamie Collins. The Lions actually end up giving him more. So I think they're looking for another linebacker. And the unique thing about Jamie Collins is, he's originally an off-the-ball linebacker, but he gets quarterback pressure. And I feel like the Saints are kind of missing that from their linebacker unit. And Kenneth Murray is a linebacker, an off-the-ball linebacker that can play inside, outside. But one of my favorite things about him and why I love him as a prospect is Oklahoma. He was the clear best player on Oklahoma defense. They would actually throw him as an edge rusher a lot of times, and he was very, very effective. And that sounds like a Jamie Collins type linebacker. Murray with more upside than Collins. So I think the Saints would actually be very interested in that, and I would like that pick there. And then we're moving on to the back end of the first round here. The Vikings come up again, so they got to pick at 22-25. And you may say, where's the cornerback at? And they very well could take a cornerback. That they lost so many guys, even though Rhodes was kind of expected. And I think most fans kind of wanted him out after his play last year. But a lot of corners, I had a lot of corners come off the board here. So I don't know. I think they're actually, right now it's Hughes and Holton Hill on the outside who have actually had some good moments. And I think they would rather, I think they prefer that in this scenario than kind of reaching for a corner a little bit. And then again, they can take one in the second round. I mean, taking Gladney here wouldn't really be a reach. I like a couple of the other guys, but I think, losing Everson Griffin free agency, and I really think they would like Gross Matos a lot. A defensive end that actually has experience at 3 technique, which the Vikings could use either one. I think he would play DM, but I think he would play a little bit of both. But we've seen the Vikings give some different looks last year where they would slide some of their DNs into, kind of the D tackle spots, and it kind of worked out for them. So I think Gross Matos would be perfect. Yeah, he's a defensive end that can slide inside. They're missing Everson Griffin. They can use another interior guy. But again, mainly he's an edge guy in their 4-3. So I do like Gross Matos for them, but I mainly think they'll really like him. So if a guy like AJ Terrell's here, I think they would be, I don't think CJ Henderson would, but any of those guys, I think they would like in terms of corner. Otherwise, I think they wait. So they grab a receiver and a pass rusher here. Dolphins take Xavier McKinney. I'd actually feel more comfortable early second. I'm not a big fan of the safeties in terms of, I do like the safeties in the class, but I'm not a big fan in terms of like first round. Like they're nothing screaming to me when I watch them first round. But I would like to fit here. Because the Dolphins are looking for more of a strong safety. McKinney's played both. To me, he's a strong safety. I don't think he has the speed, in the back end back there, but at the next level. So strong safety, which they need. And they're also going to use guys like Van Noy to get after the quarterback a bit more. So having McKinney in the box would actually make a lot of sense there. The Seahawks go AJ Epinesa, who I think can fall to the second round. And there's some people that, don't like that people are overreacting from the combine numbers, but they really do matter. And they matter even to teams that really still like him because they know other teams probably scratched him off the board. I think for the most part he fits 4-3 teams. I wouldn't rule out him playing a 3-4 end, but you can narrow him down to fitting half of the league, and then how many of those teams, don't like taking guys that are kind of lacking in the athleticism department. And, that's realistic to think that. So I think teams may know they can wait for him, but I think this would be a Seahawks pick here. I still think Collier could actually slide inside, and that's kind of why they let Quentin Jefferson walk. Or they can play. They did bring in Irvin. Clowney's still a free agent as of recording this, so maybe they get him back. But I think AJ Epinesa is a realistic pick here for them to play the defensive end position. And then the Ravens take Patrick Queen. I think it's an obvious one at this point. Because they need inside linebacker. They could use a pass rusher as well. They could use another receiver, but I think this is too good to pass. What they need. I think he fills the need. I think he'll do a good job of filling that Martindale system too, because he likes to blitz his inside linebackers a lot. And I think he can grow in that way. Former running back switching to linebacker. I think he's got a lot of potential, but already pro ready. So I like Queen there for the Ravens. And then the Titans take Ross Blacklock. They trade Jarrell Casey. I think it's a good replacement. They could be in the market for maybe a Neville Gallimore. A couple other guys they can really draft here too. But I like Ross Blacklock a lot from TCU. Really, really good technique, really good freaky strength, really just throwing offensive linemen off him. And does a really good job getting after quarterback. TCU ran a lot of stunts, which makes it slower for these guys to get to the quarterback, or it takes more time. So I think the numbers would have been a lot better on a different defense, and I think he kind of can replace Jarrell Casey there. And then the Packers take Jalen Reagor, receiver, TCU, a receiver that you would think would play in the slot more. Didn't play in a slot in a whole bunch TCU, but I think he could at the next level. But again, he is pretty dominant on the outside. You think of he's a fast, shifty guy, just under 6 foot. You wouldn't think he's a good contested catcher, a good jump ball catcher. He's very good at that. He's very good at high pointing the ball, getting there before the defensive back. You can throw it downfield. You can give him the screen pass at the end around. It's kind of what the Packers are missing. They've been missing a lot of that from the receiver position. So pairing him with Devontae Adams would be big time for them. Niners take Neville Gallimore, defense lineman Oklahoma, kind of replace DeForest Buckner. I think it's a pretty good replacement there. So now they get that big time receiver and Gallimore there. So they're they're looking good. A team that just was in the Super Bowl able to kind of gain that in the first round, big time. And then the Chiefs need a physical corner that can play some man, and that would be Jeff Gladney. In this scenario, they may like some other guys that are already off the board a little more, but this would be a good pick at 32 and would fit. And then the Bengals take Cesar Ruiz. I think in this scenario, this has got to be the pick. I think they're still in the market for, maybe a center, maybe a guard, and that's what Cesar Ruiz is. I think he can start day one, play at a high level at either one. Billy Price hasn't been working out too much. This definitely protects Joe Burrow. So, and then really opens things up for Joe Mixon in the running game. Colts take Jacob Eason here. This has got to be the pick, the perfect guy and he could go in the first round. They may have to trade up a little bit. But perfect guy to kind of learn behind Phillip Rivers, could compare him in ways as well. And they only signed Phillip Rivers to a 1-year deal, so in this scenario, this has to be the pick here. The Lions take Isaiah Wilson. Why Wilson? I think he is a sure, right tackle. You don't have any worries here. I think you can start him day one, play at a high level at right tackle, and the Lions did cut Rick Wagner, so they're kind of in the market for one. The Giants haven't been able to get the best pass rush in free agency like we maybe hoped, so adding Zach Bond in here definitely would help them there. Can play the edge and pretty good at dropping back coverage if you have to, if you want to blitz your inside linebackers and drop the outside in their 3-4 back a little bit. Chargers need a left tackle. They have the right tackle in Bulaga, of course. So they draft Austin Jackson, who's getting some first-round talk. I just feel more comfortable in the second round. Panthers need corners pretty bad. Trayvon Diggs still on the board here. Good, another one, a good combination of being physical, sometimes over-aggressive. That gives him in trouble, but he has the athleticism as well. So the Panthers could use a corner there. The Dolphins get their running back to pair with Jordan Howard to get DeAndre Swift. Pretty good duo. Texans trade away DeAndre Hopkins, so they have the 40th pick. And Brandon Ayuk, I think, fits. I think it's a perfect fit for them. They want an outside receiver with the athleticism, with the speed that can hit that home run, that catch that home run ball, and that's what succeeds the most for them. We see when Will Fuller's on the field, you see how much of an impact he is. So you add another one of those type of players here. Fuller's going to be a little faster. But Ayuk is, it's a good fit. It's exactly what they're looking for, exactly what succeeds in their offense. So I think they would like Ayuk very much. And then the next 8 picks, the Browns take Grant Delpit, who I do have dropping a little bit. I've had kind of dropping. Very good. The thing with Delpit, instincts stand out. Instincts, I don't think you can coach them. I think you have them or you don't. Very good play recognition. But when most of that pops up, it's when he's kind of in the box. But I don't think he'll play in the box in the NFL because of his tackling issues. So I think he'll play a free safety, which he could be a pretty good playmaker back there. But yeah, he'll drop a little bit because of the tackling issue. So the Browns got a couple guys that I view as strong safeties in free agency. So I think they can use the guy in the back end, the athletic type. And then the Jags, who, as of recording this video, didn't trade Yannick Ngakoue yet, but I feel like it's coming. It's got to be coming. I don't think he's going to play. He kind of made that clear, I thought. So adding an edge rusher opposite of Josh Allen, I think Terrell Lewis is a good pairing with him. I think a guy, I talked about it earlier, since they got Joe Schobert, I think they could switch to a 3-4. They could move some things around, but either way, guys like Allen and guys like Lewis, I think they fit either a 4-3 or 3-4. They can stand up and rush. I've actually seen Lewis rush from the inside as well, standing up, behind the D line a little bit. So that's a good prospect for them. The Bears, found their quarterback in free agency, trading for one, Nick Foles, that is. And they need one more piece to keep him protected, and that is a starting guard. Lloyd Cushenberry has experience at guard and center, so I think he starts at guard for them. And they happen to have, their guard and center actually have flipped positions before, so they kind of like those guys that can play either position, it seems. And he would be the best available interior offense line anyway, so that's really not the reason, but that's pretty interesting. The Colts take T. Higgins, who I think is a first-round talent. Sounds like he could drop a little bit. I think really good off the line against press, really good technique, and then has a very good catch radius. Faster than you think. He's shown some speed, downfield speed on tape, in my opinion. So the Colts add that receiver that their new quarterbacks in this scenario need. And the Bucs add that left tackle they need. Sadiq Charles from LSU played very well at left tackle. Missed a couple games early. Some off-the-field issues I've heard, but nothing, in my opinion, serious. So that's why he drops. Left tackle. plug and play to protect Tom Brady. I think Smith could move to right or vice versa. The Broncos add their receiver. They kind of missed out one on the first. They add Laviska Shenault, who another one I think is easily a first-round talent, but he has the injury that was recent, had to have surgery. Expected to be good to go, I think, by week 1. But still, that's a little concern because he already kind of had the durability concern because he pretty much did everything from Colorado, kind of wore him down after a bit, but phenomenal talent for sure. Falcons take Julian Okwara. They did add Dante Fowler. I think they need another edge rusher there, a guy that similar to Dante Fowler. They can put him on the line, back him up a little bit. Okwara did a good job dropping in coverage for Notre Dame and containing as well. The Jets take KJ Hamler. They need some speed at receiver with or without Anderson back. I think it's the type of receiver they like. They quickly get open for Sam Darnold there. They're trying to build that offensive line. They do that. They help with that in the first round, and now they take Hamler here. Next, we got the Steelers. They fill their tight end need in free agency with Eric Ebron. Now I have them taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think running back like Edwards-Helaire is a pretty big need. James Conner is a phenomenal back. The injuries just keep piling up. It's unfortunate, and they don't have any speed really in the backfield. Edwards-Helaire, despite his 40 time, I'm not worried about that because he's fast in the field. He's very quick, but a guy that can catch the ball to the backfield I think will help them big time. And the Bears take Noah Igbinoghene, cornerback from Auburn, who I like a lot. Former receiver, switched to corner. I think it's a good thing. People call it a negative, not a whole bunch of experience. I think it's a good thing knowing the receiver position, who you have to cover, and then kind of almost being a natural already, only being at corner for 2 years. Real smooth, real quick feet. Only thing is penalties kind of, pass interference penalties kind of piled up at times, but I think he's working on it. I think really it could be a day one starting corner for the Bears opposite of Kyle Fuller. They do have Tolliver and they do have Artie Burns. Those are just kind of question marks. Artie Burns has been a big disappointment. And then Tolliver is just still, we've seen him play well against, I think it was the Cowboys game last year, but I still think they can get better at the cornerback position, which is very important in their defense. Cowboys take Antoine Winfield Jr., who is my best safety in the class. I think the only negative is he's short. He's about 5'9", but I think he should go earlier in this. But I think he'll drop a little bit. I think he'll drop a little bit back because of the size. But the Cowboys get much better with this. They add Clinton-Dix, so I think we'll play more of the strong. Winfield will play free. The Rams, you see the new Rams logo. Actually, it looks pretty cool right there on the graphics. So it's actually growing on me a little bit. They need an interior offensive lineman to start right now. They're going to need tackles for the future. They have a lot of holes now. They need a linebacker, inside, outside. They have some needs now. So it's a little scary. But they take a guy that can start right away at the guard position in Jonah Jackson. And then the Eagles need another linebacker, and they haven't really filled that in free agency. They kind of need one in almost every spot. Jordan Brooks, pretty rangy linebacker, always in the backfield from Texas Tech. Rare from a Texas Tech defender as well. But I like this tape very much. The Eagles add him. A little bit of a wild card here. The Bills could go edge rusher, but yeah, I don't know if there's one right here that's really worthy of the pick that fits. They were interested in guys like Greg Olsen. I think they're interested in adding another tight end. Cole Kmet's that all-around tight end. I think the clear best tight end in the class. Adding him with Dawson Knox, I think could be deadly with that offense. Now that you got kind of the receivers kind of in play. I think they could use another receiver, just maybe not at this pick. The Ravens, Marshall Yanda retired at one point. They need another guard. They do have guys that can step up like Powers, but Damian Lewis, I think he's day one starter. I think they get better with him right here, so they add him with the pick they traded for at 55. The Dolphins add Josh Uche. It's another one of those linebackers that was an off-the-ball linebacker that kind of turned into a pass rusher. It just sounds like a Brian Flores type of guy. They could use another one out there in Josh Uche. Could use him in different ways. Can rush the passer. Could actually drop in coverage pretty well. And then we got the Texans. They're going to need a pass rusher at this point. And interesting here, Weaver makes sense to the Texans to me because it's a team that that really cares about how many sacks the pass rushers actually get. Clowney got pressure. He helped in the run game a lot, but he didn't really get a whole bunch of sacks, and they didn't want to pay him for it. Weaver's a guy that's going to be the complete opposite. The measurables maybe aren't there. He doesn't really have the crazy traits or technique. He just gets to the quarterback a lot. So I think he'll fit what the Texans are looking for there. He fits their scheme. The Vikings definitely need a corner at this point, passing him on the first round. Could be Arnett, could be Bryce Hall. I think they can like either one. I think they would take Arnett in this scenario. And there's a lot of possibilities with their current group. I think between Hughes and Arnett, I think one of them will play in the slot. I think Holton Hill will be outside, but Arnett, Hughes, like I said, one of them will be outside, one will be in the slot. I think they'll like Arnett a lot from Ohio State there. Ohio State corners seem to be working out as well. Seahawks could use, they got B.J. Finney. I think he's more of a guard, has experience at center. Biotish has experience at both, so they kind of can pair them and start them at the same time there. Ravens grab a receiver and Chase Claypool. Monster combine, real good tape too, real good jump ball receiver, but at the same time has experience in the slot, which is pretty impressive. So the Ravens could add him with what they already have in Miles Boykin, 2 Notre Dame receivers. I think Claypool is better than Boykin though, but both pretty solid, and Hollywood Brown being their number 1, obviously. Titans add Bryce Hall, cornerback from Virginia here. He's kind of getting quiet, his stock kind of getting quiet because he's been hurt a little bit. But a very, very lengthy and very good corner, had a better 2018 season, pretty impressive. Guy that could actually start to get more talk, because the scouts and coaches, they know, they're not getting quiet on guys that are good. Just kind of the media kind of gets quiet. So when we get closer to draft, maybe we get more insight. We can start hearing that Bryce Hall could actually go much earlier in this. Bryson Hopkins goes to the Packers. They missed out on some tight ends, and they obviously got rid of Jimmy Graham. So Hopkins to pair with Sternberger, I think it's a pretty good duo. Chiefs go J.K. Dobbins to pair him with Damian Williams. I think it's a really good pairing, complement each other very well. You can see the running back starting to slide. I think the Falcons grabbing Todd Gurley kind of caused that, among other things. But yeah, they start to slide a little bit. And then the Seahawks grabbed Marlon Davidson, who actually has got first-round talk at some point. But I would like him. He could potentially be a Quentin Jefferson replacement, somebody else in the D-line there for the Seahawks. And then moving on to the next, it's the third round. We're going to go through real quick here. Bengals take Willie Gay Jr. They need another linebacker in there, pair with Jermaine Pratt. Very rangy linebacker that can cover well in William Gay Jr. Had a really good combine. Redskins need a receiver. Brian Edwards from South Carolina, really good tape, not being talked about enough. They added him in there. Lions take Jonathan Taylor. Some people still got Jonathan Taylor in the first round, and people always yell at me. This is probably the last I'm going to say. I feel like I say it every single video. They always get mad at me in the comments. Jonathan Taylor has running back 1 traits. Elusiveness, vision. He's got the speed, the strength, everything, except for it is a major fumbling concern. 15, 16 fumbles in 3 years. How many close games in the NFL? How many close games? How many one-score games? Teams really won't want to have some teams won't really want to have a running back 1 that has that much risk. He also has a lot of wear. Running backs that have over 900 carries don't tend to work out. Not saying that's a reason he's not going to work out. But basically what I'm getting to is teams know this. Teams know other teams may not be interested. I think he only fits certain teams that, really aren't going to, they're going to limit him in some way. So adding him with Kerryon Johnson here makes sense. And I think it's realistic. I'm not saying for sure he's not going in the first 2 rounds, but I would be shocked if he went first round, honestly. But this is realistic. It's very realistic. The Jets take Jalen Johnson, which some people have him in the first. He had an injury. I think he played through the injury this year, and I didn't like his tape this year. I liked it a lot in 2018, so that drops him a bit. Yeah, having the injury is a little scary, so I think he actually could go early third. Matt Abuke, the interior defense lineman from A&M, added the Panthers. They need another defensive lineman. Dolphins add Matt Hennessy. Has experience at center and guard. I know they got Karras. Nothing guaranteed there, but Hennessy could actually start at guard for them too, as well as center right away. Chargers add Cam Akers. It'll be important to add a running back like Akers, who I like a lot, with Austin Eckler, losing Melvin Gordon there, of course. The Cardinals, Lucas Niang still on the board. I know they already took a tackle, but the idea of Lucas Niang possibly the upside of him, I think he's a first-round talent, but had the injury, which I think pushes him back, could go second round, but end up sliding back here. So the Cardinals actually take 2 offensive linemen here. Possibility of putting him to guard, but then the upside there as well. Because you look at who they took in the first round, Wirfs, I think there's a strong possibility he could be a guard as well. And then they have Humphreys in the left tackle spot, who has kind of been up and down. They did give the contract to, but I think, the Cardinals going out and filling out a lot of needs too. They filled the receiver need, adding the best receiver in football. And they fill, they add Kennard, they add a bunch of D linemen. Secondary, I think, is already looking pretty good. They add Campbell in the inside linebacker position. Cardinals are looking good. They have the ability to do this, and you just grab 2 offensive linemen, guys that are flexible, guys that have a bunch of upside. The versatility's there, so I would like this a lot. It may be a little bold, but that's kind of what I was feeling here. And then the Jaguars get their receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who had a monster combine. Had very, very poor quarterback play at Michigan, which was unfortunate. I think otherwise we may be talking about him way earlier in this. Has a chance to go second round. Browns take Logan Sternberg from Kentucky, experience at center and guard. I think you can plug and play guard actually really early. Colts get their edge rusher in Bradley Anae. The athleticism a little bit lacking, but he gets to the quarterback. Very strong hands, very good hand technique. The Bucs add Zach Moss to be their running back. They're going to need that at this point. The Broncos add Ezra Cleveland, the athletic tackle from Boise State that they really could use at left tackle right away. The Falcons add another tight end. They did trade for Hayden Hurst, but adding more of that athletic freak tight end, Hunter Bryant from Washington, I think makes a lot of sense, can make that offense that more deadly. They're just needing an outside linebacker, which would be an edge rusher in their scheme. Anthony Jennings, pass deflection machine, got that lengthy arms from Alabama. And then the Raiders with 2 picks in a row. Van Jefferson, very, very good route runner. Could be a very early second-round pick if it wasn't for his recent injury, but would be a very good third-round pick still. So adding him with Jerry Jeudy would be pretty scary there. And then they take Jalen Hurts. Even though they picked up Mariota, they could be... it's just we keep kind of hearing it that they could be moving on from Carr, so they could be in the market for another quarterback, and then eventually just keep 2 of those quarterbacks when you're looking at as early as next year. Cowboys grab their corner in Cameron Dantzler, very good tape, lengthy corner, drops a little bit because the combine. The next picks, the Broncos grab a corner that they need there, Troy Pride Jr., a lot of upside, very athletic. The Rams grab a linebacker, losing Corey Littleton and Malik Harrison. Lions need one more interior defensive lineman, Raekwon Davis from Alabama, a guy that, just coming in Alabama, I thought was going to be a lock at a first-round pick, and for some reason he, hate to say declined, but yeah, his play declined a little bit, but still the upside's there. We know he has it in him because it's not like he's aged or anything. Everyone's aged, but it's not like it's because of age that he's declining. So he has it in him. That's the reason for upside. Khalid Kareem, I think, would be a really good defensive end for the Bills to add there at 86. Actually, I just realized I had him taking 2 Notre Dame players. Patriots go with Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son, for the tight end position that they desperately need. Saints go Tyler Johnson. So they had another receiver. Sanders does come with some injury concern. Nothing major injury concern. We've seen him sit out of some games. So they need a solid, another number 2 receiver that could be, I think you need multiple 1s, multiple 2s. Tyler Johnson, very underrated receiver. I think be a good pick in round 3. Prince Tega Wanago for the Vikings could use a future left tackle there from Auburn. The Texans grab Rashard Lawrence, losing DJ Reader could be a good replacement. The Raiders add Ashton Davis. I think it would be a really good pairing with Jonathan Abram there in the back end. The Ravens add Jonathan Grenard, edge rusher for them. Titans add Anthony McFarland. I think it would be very important to get a running back to pair with Derrick Henry. They cut Deion Lewis. Henry's on the franchise tag. We don't know what the future's looking like. Are they one of those front offices that don't believe in extending running backs? Is Henry happy with the franchise tag? Adding a shifty, speedy guy that can catch the ball to the backfield, I think, is key. McFarland is that right there. Packers add Jordan Elliott. Would like him into 3-4 end position a lot, actually, just outside of Kenny Clark there. Broncos add another receiver, get another slot guy in there. Devin Duvernay from Texas, speedy receiver. I think that'll make that offense that much better. Shane Lemieux from Oregon could compete for a guard spot, and they need depth because of the injuries last year for the Chiefs. And the Browns, losing out on some linebackers. They add one from Appalachian State with a very good tape, actually, Akeem Davis Gaither. And the Patriots take Matthew Part, guy that can compete for that left tackle spot. And then the last few picks of the 3-round mock, the Giants add Kyle Duggar, who going to play in the box quite a bit. I think he'll play in the box quite a bit, so compare him with Peppers. Peppers can kind of play in the back end. But Peppers, it's very interesting. He can play in the back end, or he's the guy that can play in the box. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think the Giants really have a designated. I don't really believe in free and strong safeties anymore for most teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're actually interested in. Patriots add a receiver, Michael Pittman, adding him with Harry. Could really stretch the field out and play opposite sides, of course. It'll be very interesting. And the Seahawks take Jack Driscoll. I think a guy that could compete for the right tackle spot right away. Steelers take Ben Barch, small school tackle. They still need to fill their right tackle spot as of now. Fiedler's still a free agent. The Eagles take Antonio Gibson. I think it's a really good running back to pair with Miles Sanders there. Another guy they want in the backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Gibson can do that. as well, like Sanders, but he's a pretty strong back too, in between the tackle, inside the tackles, I should say. So I think it'd be a good pairing with Sanders. The Rams take Devon Hamilton. I think you can plug him in at actually nose in their scheme inside of Aaron Donald. The Vikings grab another receiver. Like I said, I could see them going a while without even taking a receiver, which I would disagree with strongly. But I also could see a scenario like this. They want to look for those bigger body receivers. They've been wanting to, but it doesn't really fit. They like the guys that can play in the slot and that are pretty good route runners. They haven't had success with, kind of the bigger body guys because they weren't the best at running routes. But Colin Johnson is actually a very solid route runner. So this would be a win for me trading Diggs. Adding Justin Jefferson and Colin Johnson because of it with Adam Thielen, I think would be big time. And the Ravens take another tight end. Actually, they trade Hayden Hurst. Doesn't necessarily mean they need one bad, but they like having their multiple tight ends there. Adam Trautman, I think, too good to pass at this point. Pretty solid blocker, catch the ball downfield from Dayton there. So maybe a little bit of a wild card, but they already filled quite a bit of needs leading up to this point in the scenario. I can definitely see them adding another one here because it's a team that really values the tight end position here, and maybe he's too good to pass this point because he is getting some second-round talk. That kind of shows you how good this class is. We have a lot of guys this guy's in the second round, he's getting some first-round talk. This guy's in the third round, he's getting some second-round talk. Just shows that it's a very good draft class, and I'm happy to see it's a good offensive draft class. It's mostly every year, it just feels like defensive loaded. So really excited about this draft, really excited to cover it going forward here, leading up to we're almost a month away, so very excited for that. Got a lot planned, a lot on the way, a lot already on the channel, full free agency coverage, so check that out. Subscribe to our newer channel. You find a link down below, as well as a link for our Twitter. That'll be a must follow there if you're a football or Goat House fan. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.